Ilya Samsonov's struggles this season have been no secret, and reports are starting to surface that the Leafs could be looking to trade the goalie, so we're going to break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, as well as some more rumors that are circulating that the Leafs could be going for some potential players from multiple teams. So we're going to break all that down, but before we do, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We notice a large percentage of you guys who are watching these videos right now are not subscribed, so go down, scroll down, see if you're subscribed, and if you aren't, hit the button as we're on the road to 4,500 subscribers, and we're posting 1 to 2 videos every single day, and we keep you covered with the latest Leafs news. All right, let's get right into the video. We have tons to discuss today. So, obviously, the Leafs got a big win a couple nights ago on the back of Joseph Woll. Obviously, Samsonov struggled a lot in that game, and his struggles have been no secret this season. He's been pretty bad this season. There's no way fans or buts about it. He's been very, very bad, and some stuff is starting to come out that the Leafs could be looking to move him, and some reports are surfacing. So this says that the Maple Leafs, Ilya Samsonov's future in Toronto looking murky. And of course, we know that back in 2022-2023, it was a breakout campaign for Samsonov. He was very, very solid. We know how good he did last year. If you guys watched the Leafs, of course, many of you, I'm assuming, did. But 42 games, 27-10, and coming into this season, we really expected Samsonov, at least I did, to run away with that starting goalie job and continue to see Joseph Woll, grow as a goalie, but be kind of the backup guy, or at least a 1A, 1B situation. But that hasn't really been the case, as Ilya Samsonov has been very, very bad at very high goals against average. He's lacked confidence, he's lacked good goaltending ability this season, and the confidence is the biggest thing for him, because coming into last game the Leafs played, he had a very, very good start, and then he kind of blew up again, which has been the story of the season. Looking into the nightmare season, he has a 2-1-2 record with an 86 save percentage and a 4.11 goals against average. And as I mentioned, he was pulled from the first period in 2 out of his last 4 starts, both against the Lightning. Now, of course, the Lightning are a very, very good offensive team. They're very, very perennial cup winners, but that aside, you can't be pulled in 2 out of the last 4 starts when you are supposed to be originally coming into the season a 1A type goalie. Because of these struggles, reports, like I just mentioned, are starting to surface. So what could the Maple Leafs do with Samsonov? And this is why I want you guys to also get engaged in the comment section and let me know and let us know what you think the Leafs should do with Samsonov, whether that be a trade, whether that be let him go in free agency, send him down if that's even possible. So when noting that Samsonov is eligible to be a UFA after the season, it is quite possible that the Leafs let him walk. In fact, it is more probable than not that they will do that. And if his play does not improve significantly, the Leafs have no choice but to find an upgrade during the offseason, whether it is through trade or free agency. So that's also, of course, a big issue as well, is that he's only on a 1-year deal, meaning after this season, he's going to become an unrestricted free agent. So the easiest path, if you're the Maple Leafs, would be to just let him hopefully figure it out, gain a little bit of confidence, still throw him in for the occasional start, use him as a pure backup, and just let him hopefully figure it out. Then let him walk. Once the season ends, no harm really done. But the issue with that is we all know the Leafs are trying to win right now, and we know that Brad Treliving is always a guy who's hopefully looking to upgrade the team. Is Ilya Samsonov, if he continues to be a liability like he's been this season, there's no doubt about it, he has been an absolute liability. How much faith can they put in him being able to start on, when the Leafs have back-to-back games, when they need to give Joseph Woll a rest? If Joseph Woll gets injured, how much faith do they have in Ilya Samsonov stepping into that goalie role and then starting for the future? Or are they going to go out and make a trade for a guy and trade Ilya Samsonov and maybe throw in a pick to eat the last year of the contract? We saw Jack Campbell got waived by the Oilers yesterday, and he was a guy who just signed a massive 5-year, $25 million contract, $5 million AAV, and he was waived because of bad performance. And we have Ilya Samsonov is having just as bad of a season, if not worse, than Jack Campbell, and he's obviously most likely not going to get waived. But as you read right here, there's also a possibility the Leafs could look to move Samsonov during the season, and if his play continues to be mediocre, they could at the trade deadline start to add to their group and moving on from his $3.55 million cap hit. And that's interesting. You can read the last sentence here, which is what I mentioned earlier. Sellers would have zero trouble adding him if it meant adding a little more potential trade and taking on his deal. So this would be a case where you're trading Samsonov in a potential deadline package, but the Leafs give up, whether it's a prospect, whether it's a pick, just some sort of increased incentive to other teams to take on Samsonov 1-year deal. And if you're a team that doesn't need the salary cap space, then you have no issue, no harm taking on Ilya Samsonov because you're getting an extra bonus asset for just money, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things to a lot of teams. But for the Leafs, who are trying to, of course, manage their salary cap and do all that with this $3.55 million cap hit, if they want to go and get a bigger name, which we'll discuss later on in the video, we've listened and heard about people like Nikita Zadorov, Noah Hanifin, and other players like that, even some Elias Lindholm talk, $3.55 million cap hit could be very, very important for the Leafs and Brad Strilling if they're trying to get under that cap hit. The question is, I don't think they're going to want to do that in a trade. But again, that brought up the big question, and this is the report here, the rumor saying that the Leafs could look to trade him if they want the cap hit to remain low and if they want to, trade him off, which, again, I'm not really of the mindset that they should be giving up assets to get rid of a guy who's about to expire. It kind of depends on what other subsequent moves they could be looking to make, but I would rather just have them, wait it out would be the big thing. You could waive him as well. I think you could trade him and see what happens with that. See if you can maybe get an asset for him. I highly, highly, highly doubt any team will give an asset to get Ilya Samsonov the way he's played, but maybe you let him play a little bit more and get his value back up. But I don't think trading him makes sense right now. Obviously, he's having a horrible start to his season. He had a phenomenal season last year. You have to just let it go, let it play through, and hope that in the end, they will be able to figure out what's going on with Ilya Samsonov, because as it stands right now, he has not been very, very good at all for the Maple Leafs, and it will be up to Brad Treliving to ultimately decide what the best decision is for the Toronto Maple Leafs and his current situation with the team. But it was very, very interesting, and I was curious to see what you guys think in the comment section below, how you're feeling about the current Ilya Samsonov situation, and if you think he will be able to recover, or if he will continue to be one of the worst goalies in the NHL. But discussing some more things now from this article, and as well as kind of touching on what I spoke on yesterday. So if you want to check out the video from yesterday, you can go ahead and do that. But it's about the Flames, and this kind of highlights what a potential trade package could look like. We obviously know that the Leafs are, according to Elliot Friedman, interested in a couple of guys, specifically Chris Tanev and Nikita Zadorov. And this kind of highlights what a potential package could look like. And like I've mentioned before, the Flames don't want to completely tank. They want to retool rather than fully rebuild. And they want future pieces like Simon Benoit and Nick Robertson, which I've mentioned several times. But again, this is kind of just highlighting what a potential package could look like. And I'm curious to see in your kind of comment section, would you guys be willing to give up a Nick Robertson type player, a Simon Benoit type player, plus a prospect or a pick for Nikita Zadorov? Or if you're combining both of Nikita Zadorov and Chris Tanev, what kind of package you'd be willing to give up for those guys. And it's just going to be very, very interesting to see. And in case you missed the report from the other day, you wanted a podcast and talked about, quote, the one I can see the Leafs targeting is Zadorov. I bet you this, if they can find a way to get both of them, being Zadorov and Tanev, I bet you they do it. I bet you they do both of them. If Calgary is willing to do that, I really believe it. And Elliot Friedman's one of the most notable reporters in the NHL world, in the NHL space, in the NHL community. And he knows exactly what he's talking about. And it would not surprise me if the Leafs are able to trade for one of Nikita Zadorov or Chris Tanev, that they try and go for the other one. What it would take, who knows? There's some Brody talk, there's some Benoit talk, there's Nick Robertson talk, there's tons of pick talk. The question will be, will the Leafs be willing to give up a big package to acquire some of these guys? Albeit because of, like this is from a while ago, but because of the injury of Timothy Liljegren, this is kind of highlighting elevating the need for Brad Treliving to make a move. But that'll wrap up the video. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on all this and which of these guys you would want the Leafs to make a trade for. Do you want them to keep Samsonov? I don't think a trade is super likely, but it was interesting that articles and rumors are already swirling about a potential Samsonov trade or moving on from Ilya Samsonov over the coming weeks before the trade deadline. As well as Nikita Zadorov and Chris Tanev. Would you be willing to give up Simon Benoit or Nick Robertson, or maybe both of them? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below, especially because Benoit is starting to play now with the actual Leafs team. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.